Hello and welcome to EffektSkateboarding's first Blender 3D tutorial. Now today, in this tutorial, we're going to be going over the basic interface and how to work your way through the interfaces of Blender. If you have experience with being able to navigate and guide yourself through Blender, I recommend skipping this tutorial, moving on to one of my future tutorials. Yes, this may sound similar to Super 3 Boy's tutorial. I am not copying him in any way, shape, or form. I respect Super 3 Boy. His tutorials have helped me along the way to becoming relatively good at Blender 3D. So I'd also recommend you actually going over and checking out some of his tutorials. Not going up any competition against him. I'd rather, I guess what you want to call it, be an ally with him. So good job with your tutorials, by the way, Super 3 Boy. So, let's continue. So first, open up Blender if you haven't already. And, we have a default cube here. Now this is it looks like a square from your view. The first thing you're going to want to know how to do, most likely, is to move around in your 3D view. So what I want you to do is press Alt, and hold your left click and move your mouse around. Now, you can move your view around any way you want. Now you're probably wondering, well, how do I get back to the original view? Line it up? No, you don't have to line it up like I just did. You can either use number pad shortcuts, which are 1 for front view, 3 for side view, and 7 for top view. Or, you can go down to this little button here, it says view, and you have side, front, top, and your camera view, which a camera is used when you render a animation or single frame. I'll explain that in a different tutorial. So let's go through basic navigation. A couple things you're going to know is File up here. You can create a new Blender file if you want. You can also open a Blender file. You can open recent ones that you've been working on. Save as, you know, your basic stuff. None of this else we're going to need to cover for right now. Down here you have your basic views, side, front, top, and camera. Now, over here we have this. The most we're going to be using is Object and Edit Mode. Now, a shortcut to get to these is by pressing your Tab key on the left of your keyboard. That'll change your views quite easily. Another thing we're going to be using a lot will be this. A couple different modes. The most we're going to be using is wireframe and solid. Another shortcut for that, let's rotate here, is the Z key. Press that, you go into wireframe. To get it out is Z. Now, solid is showing you what it would look like in real life, kind of 3D. Now, wireframe is just showing you the outside edges of your object. So if I had a sphere here, just show me the outside edges of the sphere. Alright, let's go back to top view. Now, another thing you want to know are your, I guess your panels, or your menus. So let's start off with the default, editing. Over here, this is for materials, mostly. Right here is vertex groups. We'll explain about that later. Materials later. This is for mesh. Auto smoothing, pretty much all faces have to be an angle equivalent to or less than the value that you have in here. For those of you who are in algebra or have taken algebra, you might understand that. Nothing else really that you need to know for now. Next, we want to go to object mode. Now this gets into a bit more advanced stuff. None of this you're going to need to know for now. And then there's tabs over here in Blender 2.46. The physics button, which you have fields, collisions, you can make cloth types, silk, cotton, rubber, denim, leather, etc. Soft bodies, which is the same as cloth. Soft body was the original, I guess if you want to cloth simulator of Blender. Over here is a fluid simulator. These are pretty cool. Pretty much it'll process a fluid simulation to your liking. And now over here is the particle button. It'll add particle systems. Pretty much if you have an object, it'll shoot little, I guess, for those of you who aren't stupid, particles out of that object. Our next tab or menu is Shading tab. Now this has to do a lot with the way that your object looks, so we can actually give it a quick example. Right here is what we're going to be working with most. You drag these sliders to create a color that you like, and the preview is over here. Now say you wanted, well, I want to make water. Well, water isn't very blue. It has a hint of blue, so we can give this a tint of blue, like a tealish blue. We go over here and we can click Ray Transparency. And the IOR, if we drag over, the Fresnel, is pretty much how transparent your object is. And I can see on the left it's getting really transparent, and there it's almost fully transparent. Your IOR is how much distortion your transparency gets. So if we make it transparent again and we drag our IOR up, you see it's getting more distorted, and now right here everything's transparent to the point that you see it to the shape of the object. Now that's pretty much the same as mirror. If you go over here, you can click the mirror button, drag your mirror up, and it'll render it over here, and you'll have stuff bouncing off. And Fresnel, pretty much kind of the blending of the solid color to where the mirroring is. I usually don't use Fresnel in mirroring. I just use the mirror to the point where it's all the way up, or no mirror at all, which you just uncheck that, obviously. That's pretty much the basic stuff for this menu. Now we go over here to scripting. That's for very advanced users. I'm not going to go into that. And this is a logic. This is used for games, and when you go into the game engine, stuff that you can control. Not necessarily even stuff that you can control. Yeah, pretty much. You can add sensors, controllers, and actuators, which pretty much means if you press this button, it'll happen all the time, and this is what it's going to do. That's how that pretty much works. And last, we have our rendering tab. Over here you have where everything that's rendered is going to save to. This usually goes back to default after you close Blender. I forget how to make it stay, like save it. This will render a frame here if you press the render button. You see a little drop down menu. If you download Yayframe from blender.org, it's like a more advanced rendering system that has more tones of color. I think it has a few more rendering effects, higher quality, more detail, depth of color, stuff like that. This is just more advanced stuff here that we don't need to talk about right now. This is animating. If you make a bunch of frames put together, you click the animate button and it'll render, say, frame 1 to 50, start, end. And this is your game framing settings. Once again, more advanced stuff in different tutorials. The last thing we're going to go over real quick will be the layers. We might be using these, might not. It really depends. Pretty much, you can have objects on different layers. So say I want a cube. Let's add a cube. By the way, the way to add a cube, or anything, you press space, drag over to add, mesh. You have plane, cube, circle, UV, sphere, isosphere, cylinder, cone, grid, monkey. I'm going to go with the cube. To move something, you know what, we're going to add this onto a different tutorial. So, hope you guys enjoyed this first tutorial. I hope this helped you out. Don't bother that stuff at the end. I apologize. I should have saved that for a different tutorial, and I'm going to. I hope you guys support me throughout the rest of these tutorials, and I'll see you guys later.